Hello everyone, welcome back to Speaking Spurs with me, Kieran, talking all things Tottenham. So we are back today with another update for our pre-season. But just before that, oh my God, how excited are we for Sunday? I never thought this day would come in my lifetime. So the last time we were in the final of a major tournament with England, 1966. We've had heartbreak in the semi-final. We had the World Cup semi-final. And here we are with Gareth Southgate's men in the final of the Euros against Italy. Look, I'm not going to lie, it's going to be hard. They are unbeaten in over 30 games. That takes some doing at international level. I am telling you, it's difficult. But there's just like this belief that we've got. I mean, in the game against Germany, I never felt like we were going to concede, apart from when Muller went through on goal, which was a bit worrying. But you know, I just felt comfortable in that game. Then obviously we smashed Ukraine off the park and they'd been quite solid defensively so far in the tournament. Looked quite robust to break down. Then the Denmark game, I mean, Denmark have had an unbelievable tournament. And if you actually look at their run of international games leading into it, they've only lost 4 games in their last 30-something before playing us. So that just tells you how good they've been in recent times. But anyway, we're in that final. Let me know in the comments below where you're going to be watching it. I think I'm going to be watching it with family because it's a historical event rather than watching it with me mates. We're going to get all the family together, go around, have a load of food, a load of drink. It's just going to be a great day if we win. I don't know about you guys, but I haven't heard anything from work about whether we're going to get the day off, whether we can go in late. I work in a leisure centre at the moment, so I'm assuming we're going to be open no matter what because we have bookings early in the morning. I start at 5:45, so that is going to be a nice struggle, and I have pre-warned them that expect me to be on the tired side, shall we say. But anyway, enough of that. Let's talk about Tottenham. We'll talk about a little bit about pre-season, some more of the players that we're linked with, and a little bit on Harry Kane. So let's start with the pre-season friendlies. We've had confirmation that we will be playing Leyton Orient away on Saturday the 17th of July, 3 p.m. kickoff. Colchester United away Wednesday 21st of July, 7:45 kickoff. MK Dons away Wednesday the 28th of July, 7:45 kickoff. Then we've got Chelsea away Wednesday 4th of August. Arsenal home Sunday the 8th of August. Both of those games are actually to help raise funds for mental health charities and our own foundation. So they're for good causes. Mental health has been massively talked about in recent times, and I myself am actually doing a project to do with mental health. So as well as doing this channel, I'm an actor, and there's a project coming up with one of my friends where we've got a story about the struggles of somebody coming through mental health as a young man and their experiences. So I'll leave some details in the description below about how you can get involved with that. We're doing a crowdfunding. Even if people donate £1 to the crowdfunding, you know, if every single person I knew donated £1, we'd be able to make this film in no time. So if you can help, great. If you can't, just share. Just share, that's all I ask. But yeah, those pre-season friendlies, so 4 away, 1 at home. The first 3 that are away, you can go onto the websites of the opposition clubs to find tickets for those. But if you can't get a ticket and want to watch the game, or you're somebody that's still worried about COVID and wants to stay at home and watch them, those first 3 games are available to watch on Spurs TV. So download the app or go on the website, follow links, and you can watch those. You can stream them live online. We've also got coming up an open training session, which will be Saturday the 31st of July. And that will be for the fans to attend. That will be at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So if that's something you're interested in, keep an eye on the Spurs website because more information will follow as time goes on and we get closer to that. That'll be an interesting one to go to just to see how everybody's working with Nuno and what sort of things they do. But if we now talk about transfers, because there's a lot going on, a lot that we're linked with. And I have been told now the reason why we're linked with so many people isn't just necessarily because it's paper talk and agents talk. It's Paratici. So Fabio Paratici is a man that likes to have a massive list of all the players that he wants in certain positions. Now I'm assuming what then happens is he contacts all the clubs of those players, the agents of the players. They talk about potential interest from the player with the agent. So that'll be a conversation. Then the conversation with those clubs will be how much they want to let the player go for, if they want to let the player go. So it's just a chance to cover your bases and really see if we can get the right deal for the right players that would fit our club. So that is why we're going to see so many links. Most of them won't happen. All right, so every time we link with someone, don't get your hopes up too much. It's just Paratici testing the waters to see what we can get that player for, whether they think they're interested in it, and we go from there. So let's talk about one of them. Jules Koundé is a guy that I spoke to you about in the last transfer video. Now, obviously we know he's a very, very talented guy, and he comes with a hefty price tag. However, nobody is going to pay that price in the current financial market. Now, the question is, are they going to want to keep him? I mean, I would. He's a fantastically talented player. They've got Champions League football. I don't expect them to go too far in the competition. But are they going to want to keep him and think if financially things start getting better, they can sell him for a much bigger fee? Or are they thinking if we get rid of him now, it might be a bit of a cheaper price, but all players are going for a cheaper price, and that money could be reinvested back into the squad? So it was something like 80 million to start with, but we're looking more 40 to 50 million. However, when you look at the price of some of the other defenders that we're linked with, 40 to 50 million is still a lot. But he's a fantastic player. Potentially could earn that money back for us. But we'll see how that one goes. But there are definitely players of a similar ilk, much cheaper, and around the same age as well. So we'll have a see on that. Now, I'll chuck in the Harry Kane stuff now. Apparently, Harry Kane is going nowhere. And I've said this many a time, it's always going to come down to the club in this situation rather than player, and that's due to the length of contract that we don't want him to go. If we win the Euros, there is a chance he might think to himself, do you know what, I will give it one more year at Spurs. He would have just won a major tournament. Major. It'll be one of the biggest things in his life, and he might feel in good spirits and be happy to do one more season at Spurs and see how we get on. And maybe bring that winning mentality back to Tottenham and help filter it through to the other players. So, yeah. But if anyone is going to go for him, it's going to have to be a world record fee. At the end of the day, Levy just wants the cash. He doesn't want to do any player deals in with it. He just wants the cash. Because I think the clubs that could afford him are clubs that we're not linked with players from. So that makes complete sense to me. And also the clubs that he could possibly go to are going to be teams where they pay massive wages. So he's not going to want to bring in a player and have to pay them over the odds. There's no point in letting Kane go, then bringing somebody in who's already on the same, if not more money than Kane, in a different position. So we'll see. Who else? Isco. This one's going to come down to Ancelotti at Madrid. Obviously, Ancelotti is a man that liked Isco previously. 14 million is the price that's being quoted. I mean, I don't really know if I want Isco. He's a bit hit and miss. And the last thing we need is more inconsistent players, because believe me, we've got enough of them. But apparently we have a 3-year deal at the ready. But also there's going to be competition from AC Milan. I think if he was to choose between the two clubs himself, he'd probably go for AC Milan, as would most people at the moment. Yeah. Next one, Danny Ings has obviously rejected his 4-year deal at Southampton. Doesn't want to extend. He wants to play at a higher level now, and rightly so. There's us, Aston Villa. Apparently West Ham want him as well. I don't think he'll come to us unless Kane leaves. There's a possibility that they could work together. You know, in a front three, you could have Sonny on the left, Kane in the middle, and then Ings on the right. But Ings would be able to take up a more central role, because if you see Harry Kane drop back to pick up the ball like he has done in times, that gives Ings the ability to move across. Then you would find whoever's out on the right would then come into the front three. So Kane drops out, and there you go. So the system could work. Don't think it's going to happen unless he's guaranteed game time. And it's going to come down to price and whether Nuno and Paratici want him. Now, if we start talking about more defenders again, like this is our priority defenders. So we are going to be linked with the world and his mate when it comes to defenders, okay? So expect more and more links. Most of them won't happen because it looks like we only want 2, and we do want out-and-out centre-backs. So the Tomiyasu thing could make it 3 defenders we sign, and that will depend on who goes out the door. So Serge Aurier is someone we would expect to. Toby has said that he wants to leave, and then possibly one of Sanchez or Dyer. I think it'd be Dyer over Sanchez, because we're not going to get the money that Levy wants for that one. So we could be stuck with Sanchez for a little bit longer. But you never know, Nuno might get the best out of him. He's a manager that's managed to get the best out of certain players that have been underperforming or people that are coming through. But there is Maxence Lacroix. You know what I'm like with pronunciations of some of these players. Right, so he's a Wolfsburg defender. He's 21 years old. He's absolutely colossus. He's 6'3", very strong, good on the ball. He's quick as well. He was clocked in the Bundesliga as the 4th fastest player across the whole season in the Bundesliga. For a centre-back, that's pretty good going. And for his height as well, 6'3". Comparisons to Rio Ferdinand. Now, that's a good sign. RB Leipzig won him as well. Expect it to end up being a transfer tug of war. So I think Leipzig apparently have offered 17 million for him, but Wolfsburg want closer to 26 million. And that's not a huge amount. If you think about Jules Koundé could potentially cost somebody 80 million, which obviously you won't in this financial market, but when you're looking at 26 million or 50 million, you know which one Levy's going to prefer. And on top of that, Lacroix is 21 years old, Koundé's 22. So there's a difference in age there as well. So we'll see. What do we got next? So reports coming out of the USA, which are now coming out in the UK as well. Cameron Carter-Vickers, who obviously has been at Spurs for what seems an eternity, but he's still only 23. You'd think the amount of time we've had him and the amount of loan spells he's had and the amount of times we've spoken about him, he'd be like 25 by now, but he's not. He's still only 23. He has been linked predominantly with Celtic, Bournemouth and Newcastle. Now, reports are now saying he's more likely to join Celtic than any of those. That is the strongest interest at the moment. And look, I think defensively, he's very good. I think the reasons why he struggled to make it at Spurs is probably because of his ball playing ability. Of the defenders that we've had in the squad, he's certainly been on the weaker end of that scale. And his best chance to play for us, I think, would have come under Jose Mourinho because of the type of defender that he likes. He does always like to have a proper defender in there, like John Terry at Chelsea and Carvalho. So I think that was his best chance. And Jose did use him a lot during the pre-season. Then he obviously went out and had his loan spells again. So I think now the writing's on the wall. He's got to go. Obviously, it'll bring us some much-needed money in, although not a lot, I would have thought. But look, he's had some great seasons in the Championship in the last couple of seasons. Certainly, the clubs have been impressed with him. Bournemouth really want to have him back. I think in the Championship, he looks like an amazing defender. I do think, however, he can play in the Premier League. It's just not going to be in the top 6. Not yet, anyway. He has the potential to hit those heights. It's just realising them. And I think that's going to come down to a club taking a punt on him and really giving him a run of games. Because in the Championship, he was so impressive last season. The Bournemouth fans were desperate to get him back. They were saying, if one thing happens, make sure we sign that man. So, yeah, I think he'll go out the door. But he has been around the training sessions so far in pre-season. So obviously Nuno will look at everyone. He's not just going to, say this player has to go, that player has to go. I think some of the older guys that are sort of deadwood at Spurs now, they will be the ones that regardless of what Nuno wants, they will have to be sold because they're coming towards the end of their contracts and we need the money. Whereas someone like Carter-Vickers, because of his age, there's a chance he's going to get a fair looking at by Nuno. What else? Okay, so the Tomiyasu deal, we're thinking that's getting closer and closer. Fabrizio Romano, I think he was on Chris Cowling's channel, who is another Tottenham YouTuber. He had him on there and they were talking about lots and lots of things. It was a really good interview. If you get a chance to go on Chris Cowling's page and have a watch, please feel free to. So he was saying that the Tomiyasu deal they feel is getting closer and closer, and that is the most likely deal to happen and probably the first. So we spoke about Tomiyasu before, the Japanese international. He is going to be away for the Olympics in Tokyo. Look, he's a very good player. He's a versatile player, and we spoke about all the ins and outs. So have a look at him if you want. There's, the usual videos on YouTube. There's lots of reports on him. Have a look if you want. Apparently, there's still a mystery player to be signed. I don't know who it is, and it's really annoying me that there's no reports coming out as though it is. Mystery player, whatever. Now, another one, Leon midfielder, Hussam Aoua. Again, probably not how you pronounce it. So he's been heavily linked with Arsenal last summer. They're still after him now. He plays for Lyon. He's 23 years old. He had 7 goals and 3 assists last season. Average, now this is the impressive part, he averaged 4.65 shot creating actions per game. That's more than any other Spurs player last season. That's pretty impressive. That is a whopping statistic. So, could we get him in? Do we need him? Who's going out? Again, all of our transfers are going to depend on who's going out, especially when we're going with foreign players because of the foreign player limit, the homegrown quotas that we need within the squad. Obviously, Skippy and Sessegnon coming back is going to be a massive help on that one. That's another 2 places. So, look, this guy looks like a very, very talented player. My only query and reservation is, usually when we sign outfield players straight from the French league, they tend to flop for us, especially midfielders, wingers. I don't know what it is. Is it the competitiveness of the league? Is it the speed of Premier League football? But for some reason, for us certainly, they don't tend to work out. Now, that might just be down to our recruitment. But yeah, that's another interesting one. Another one, this one I think is highly unlikely. Colombia attacker Luis Diaz, currently plays for Porto. Fantastic player. He can play up top as a striker. He can also play anywhere in the wide areas. He's 24 years old. He was linked with us last summer, and they reckon the price would be about £68 million. So for me, that figure there is why this one will not happen, unless they can get it down something cheaper, and there would have to be the usual add-ons to bump the price up over time. That one I don't think will happen whatsoever. So that's it for the transfer link. Oh, no, it's not. One more. Now, this one's interesting. It's randomly popped up yesterday. So, Paratici apparently wants to bid for Matthew Hopper. So, he's a 20-year-old striker, currently plays for Schalke. He's already had his first call-up for the USMNT, so United States men's national team. I don't know why they can't just say USA. But he kind of rose to prominence for Hoffenheim in early 2021. He scored a hat-trick in a 4-0 win over Hoffenheim. I mean, the rest of his stats don't look too impressive. He only got 6 goals and 1 assist from 22 games. But look, if we remember that he's young, and the fact that Schalke obviously got relegated, and across the board, their statistics were shocking last season. So that's actually quite impressive when you put it in as a comparison. He's 6'3". He's unlikely to stay at Schalke. Look, he kind of put himself in the shop window and had teams looking at him based on his performances in that breakout season. Like, they've been relegated. He's not going to want to stay. If he does, he'll probably get a lot of game time from next season, because the bigger stars of the club will want to leave. He could be as little as £4 million. Now, that's not a big risk. For a 20-year-old, £4 million is nothing. It's worth taking a punt, because you could definitely sell him for the £4 million again if he comes in, even after one season, doesn't have a great season. So that one, I think, is worth a punt regardless, because backup strikers, our problem has been with them, we've always paid quite a lot of money if we haven't got them on loan, and it's not worked. And then you end up selling them and you don't recoup the money you paid for them. £4 million. Like, that one's worth it. If Paratici can get that over line, like, I'm more than happy. But there's been comparisons, like, let's not get too carried away here, comparisons to Lewandowski. Obviously, he's nowhere near the level of him at the moment, but there are similarities in the way that they play. That he has a knack for losing his markers, opening up pockets of space in the penalty area. He's strong and just looks an all-round impressive prospect. Can he go further? Who knows? Are we the club to unlock that? Again, who knows? But I feel there will be a lot of competition for him, especially at such a low price. But that is it on my notes for potential players we're linked with. There were a few others, but nothing that I think is anywhere near going to happen. And as I said, Paratici is a man that is looking at lots and lots and lots of players, whittle down his list, and we'll see where we go from there. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for sticking around and watching. And as always, if you haven't done so already and you're a regular watcher of the channel, please hit the subscribe button. It means an absolute lot. It makes it much easier for me to continue making these videos because they do take up quite a bit of time with all the research and stuff that has to go into it as well. So massive appreciation to you that have already subscribed to the channel, the people that like. There's been a lot of comments flooding in and we're having some good conversations on there. So, as usual, give me your comments on score predictions for the Euro 2020/2021 final against Italy. Let me know who you think the goal scorers are going to be. Is Harry Kane going to get that golden boot? So, to do that, if he scores just the one goal, he'll be tied on goals with Ronaldo and Schick, but Ronaldo will still win the golden boot on assists. So, if Harry Kane only scores one, we're going to need him to bag some assists. Is he going to score two? Will he win that? Will he be the World Cup Golden Boot holder, European Championship Golden Boot winner, Premier League Golden Boot winner, and assist maker? That would be fantastic. And we'll rise his price up again. So definitely no one will be able to afford him, and he'll stay. But yeah, let me know your score predictions below. Any comments on any of the players I've mentioned, let me know. They're people that I've mentioned that you know more on. So let's get the conversation flowing as usual. Thank you for sticking around and watching. Stay safe. And as always, you know what's coming now. Come on, you Spurs. /England. It's coming home.